What's the difference between difficult, hard, complex, heavy, tough, and complicated? Difficult means something that is not easy to do, understand, or deal with. It's the most general term. A task can be difficult. You can meet a difficult teenager, and you may need to make a difficult decision. So, word difficult can refer to emotional, intellectual, or physical challenges. Hard. Well, a stone is hard because it's difficult to break. We use word hard to describe physical objects, while we use word difficult to describe a challenging problem. We can't say that a stone is difficult because it sounds a bit odd, as if the stone is mentally or emotionally difficult to deal with. So, one more time, describing a physical object, we can't use hard and difficult interchangeably. But we can say that the problem is difficult and the problem is hard. That would be completely the same. Only hard in this context is more informal. Also, the sentence "the exam was really hard" is the same as the sentence "the exam was really difficult." Here we use these words interchangeably. So you can have a hard life situation as well as a difficult life situation. There can be a hard workout, a difficult workout. However, if you want to emphasize that something is physically challenging, let's take an example. He worked hard all day. So you mean that he worked with a lot of effort. In that case, you can't say he worked difficult all day. But it's possible to say the work was difficult or the work was hard. So there are some examples when you can use hard and difficult interchangeably and when you can't do this. If you want to emphasize that something is physically or mentally challenging, use hard. But remember, in the cases where you can use hard and difficult interchangeably, hard is more informal. So that means you can't use hard in formal writing. You should use difficult instead. Complex. Made up of many interconnected parts. Not simple. There can be a complex system, complex plan, complex mechanism. The human brain is incredibly complex. So when you think of the word complex, imagine a picture made up of many puzzle pieces. Heavy. We usually use word heavy when talking about physical weight, but it can also be used figuratively. That was a heavy conversation. The topic was really heavy and I have heavy feelings after it. So heavy is about emotional or physical weight, not about the difficulty. Tough requires strength, resilience, or determination to handle. It's that tough guy Billie Eilish sang about. He's strong and difficult to defeat, physically or mentally. If you try to use difficult in this context, it would completely change the meaning. Difficult guy would imply someone who is hard to deal with in terms of personality, and it doesn't really mean that this guy is strong or clever. Complicated involves many confusing or intricate parts or factors. We usually use it when we talk about relationships. Complicated relationships. Things got complicated with my boyfriend. He had a heavy conversation with my husband, who's a really tough guy. In short, complicated implies confusion. Let's summarize. Word difficult feels like not easy. Hard. This takes work. Complex. There's a lot going on. Heavy. This hits deep. Tough. This tests me. Complicated. What's even happening? Let's train a bit. Imagine you've changed your job and it's your first working day. You come home, you're tired and drained. What would you say? Work is? If you are tired or drained, you can say that the work is hard or the work is tough. You come home and you're stressed, really stressed. Work is heavy. You thought that on your first working day you'd be sitting in front of the monitor, but instead of that you had to answer the calls, bring coffee, deal with a lot of documents, talking to strangers, and so on. So you come home and you understand that your work is complex or complicated. So you say complex if you want to emphasize that it has a lot of different parts, and complicated when you want to emphasize that it's confusing to deal with all these parts. And the last one, you come home and your spouse asks you, how is it? And you understand that you don't know what to say because you're struggling in general. It's not easy. So the work is difficult. Just general term difficult. So if you want to practice, you may write down your examples in the comments. I'll check them and leave you a feedback. Wait for more videos, keep calm and learn English.